Every week we like to have our good friends over at Emblem Vault join the show. Today we got the amazing Jake Gallen. Emblem Vault, these guys are building some pretty amazing stuff. First they started with the jumping feature where you're able to jump your ordinals, NFTs from chain to chain to chain. Right now there really isn't a lot of bridges where you can go and you can jump your assets from one chain to another very quickly, like you can with Emblem Vault, and that should be dropping later this year. And then they have Agent Hustle. Agent Hustle, I don't know if you've seen the chart, but Agent Hustle has been on absolutely tear. Congratulations to those guys there. And then they also have MigrateFun. MigrateFun is your way if you want to take your pool from, let's just say, Pump.Fun over to Bonk.Fun. You can do that. If you want to take it over to Jupiter or wherever, you can now take your pool that it was once locked, and you can actually migrate the tokens and actually get a different token contract and actually be a part of something where you can actually use that Solana that's been trapped in Pump.Fun for months and months and months. So now you're able to utilize that as a team and stuff like that. So really excited for MigrateFun. And then, going back to Agent Hustle, I mean, one-stop shop, right? If you need anything, you go to agenthustle.ai and you can ask anything. Really excited for what they're building with Agent Hustle.
Absolutely, man. And not just if you want to, migrate to Bonk, but like if you want to migrate to, like you said, just an LP, Radium LP, or, have control of the success of your token. Because I think a lot of projects, especially utility ones, don't realize that you don't have as much control. You don't have very much control over the success of your token whenever you're locked into one of those launch pads that lock up the liquidity and stuff like that. So really excited to get into that with Jake and congratulate him and his team, because they've done an outstanding job of bringing attention to that pain point and also just upgrading Hustle in general.
100%. Couldn't agree more. So without further ado, let's bring him up. Jake, welcome back to OnChain Revolution. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Happy Friday, guys. Man, it's been it's crazy that we started building MigrateFun just a month ago, and it feels like it's been literally a year at this point. It has been a wild ride, to say the least. But yeah, lots of attention, a lot of speculation as well. Although if everybody had been watching the Emblem Hour every Friday, they would have known that this was coming, actually. For
Absolutely.
quite a long time.
I got messages, and so did Shizzy, actually. They're like, hey, we saw, where can we get the full interview with Jake? And all. It was like, well, if you just tune in every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, you can get, straight from the horse's mouth there. But everybody's excited about the, MigrateFun, but just the opportunity in terms of solving this pain point that apparently is a lot larger than we initially thought.
It's very large. Yeah. I mean, right. We built MigrateFun out of necessity. And Adam is on the stream. I also shared this. We'll see how many people join now that there's like a lot of attention on the platform. But we built this out of necessity, and we also built it out of experience. The Emblem team has gone through 4 to 5 migrations ourselves over the past decade, between migrating fungible token from a layer 1 blockchain to Counterparty in 2016, Counterparty to ETH, ERC20 in 2019, and then the keys migration, which is actually still ongoing, from ERC20 to Runes on Bitcoin. And then we did the Emblem Vault V1 to Emblem 2.0 migration of 50,000 NFTs to 60 smart contracts, right? And so then this migration from Tensorium to Agent Hustle was on Solana. So it's a brand new experience on Solana. And with that presented a lot of pain points because of this kind of meme coin frenzy, which is that when you launch on Pump Fund, you get these kind of short-term benefits of immediate volatility, immediate interest, and attention. But over time, after about 3-4 months, you realize that you don't have control of the liquidity pool, you have no token supply, and it's immutable metadata, so you can't rebrand. And what we had seen over the last few months recently was that a lot of AI projects that were similar in our position began closing up shop because they didn't have runway. So in the lifespan of every project, there's always going to be a few kind of moments of truth where you say, something has to be done now or this is going to end very soon. And that moment was closing in very fast on us. And we had to make a decision. And so we decided to build a migration, which generally is quite controversial. But once you get into the weeds, you realize that it's actually something that everybody wants to do. Because at the end of the day, everyone just wants number to go up. And if you say migration, people, renews interest because they're like, oh, shit, the number might go up again at some point in time if we participate. So we built the platform we built the I guess you would say the protocol to migrate. And then we were like, hey, let's turn this into a project because I'm sure there's literally dozens of people interested in this. Turns out it's hundreds of teams from all across different areas. I would say the primary communities is definitely the AI community for sure. But then after that, a bunch of meme coins and actually some kind of large projects as well who locked their LP for a variety of reasons, whether it's they were given bad advice on how to set up the liquidity pool, to kind of circumstances of the moment, to where the community pressured them to lock up the liquidity pool. And for others, they just want a fresh start. I mean, the one kind of most overlooked aspects of this is that you get a brand new chart. And with a brand new chart comes a whole new beginning. And for 90% of people who didn't know about your project, they'll look at the token and think it's a brand new token. They don't know about the past history itself, which generally becomes quite beneficial, especially for a bunch of these traders who are not looking at Twitter accounts and history. They're just looking at literally the candles on the chart.
Yeah. And I think there definitely needs to be more education when it comes to tokenomics and how price action is affected by that, right? Because I think community, we're going to move into a phase to where we get away from so much of that like anonymous, like founder mode and stuff, to where you don't have to worry about locking up liquidity and all that stuff, because the team is doxxed. If something goes wrong, they're going to answer to it, right? And so now you can explain, hey, look, you wonder why Tensor had an issue with, like, the project seemed way above what the market cap was reflecting. Well, we didn't have the controls to really, take the punches of some of these early whales from Pump Fund that were just like beating up the market cap by just constantly trading that range, right? But what you get is more control back to say, hey, we don't want to beat up the market cap. We want a strong market cap so we can add to the liquidity that way. We can take away whatever you need to do when the market condition is correct. Did I get that correct?
Yeah, you kind of answered two kind of pain points from every community. And it generally answers the when crowd, right? The people who come into the chat and say when marketing, when tokenomics. Well, you can't do when marketing if you don't have a treasury. If you don't have funds for the project, you literally can't fund marketing. And I mean, granted, 95% of the when marketing crowd is really just, can devs do something and make the number go up? That's like the majority of them. And then the other kind of percentage actually just has terrible advice of paying KOLs, which generally does not go well either. But then from the when tokenomics crowd, if you're not getting liquidity pool rewards, then the team is not incentivized to build a tokenomic structure where it's encouraging transactional volume. Because if I'm getting 0.3% of the trading fees, then I want to encourage as much trading as possible because I'm generating fees. For example, with this migration, we've generated as a team about $15,000 in revenue in the last 24 hours. And if that was locked in the pump fund pool, then we don't have access to that. So we now have $15,000 that goes to funding operations. And, eventually that becomes a permanent source of revenue. And another aspect of managing liquidity pool is that some issues that we're finding. So just for example, we've talked to personally about 50 to 60 different teams. These are between calls and Telegram chats and whatever. There's probably 10 to 20% of these teams who are in a situation where the liquidity depth is too deep compared to the market cap. And what I mean by that is, from the general efficiency or trading efficiency conversations I've had with market makers and traders and teams and such, you want generally about a 10% to 30% ratio of liquidity to market cap. So if my market cap is $1 million, you want 100,000 to 300,000 liquidity. Once you get above this 30% mark, the liquidity depth becomes so thick that it takes so much more price movement to move the chart up or down, it essentially becomes stuck in this price range forever. And you see this happening to a lot of charts. And so if you don't have access to the liquidity pool to remove liquidity, then that just keeps building up. And that's what happens to some of these pump fund tokens, because all of the revenue from liquidity pool just gets auto compounded into the liquidity pool and it's locked. So it becomes way too thick, and essentially the price can never move. And so there are a lot of teams who've reached out to us to help with that. Now, granted, kind of final point here, granted is that for the majority of teams, you know, maybe they're not at the level of sophistication to where they know how to manage a liquidity pool. And so I'm not discrediting launchpads in the way that locking LP is probably good for some. It's not good for everybody. And we've had this conversation about how the Solana ecosystem incentivizes locking liquidity pool and applying and distributing your token supply across many wallets. So for example, today I went to apply for the Moonshot listing. You have to have over 1 million in volume to even do that. In order to apply, you have to distribute your entire treasury across multiple wallets. So we had 15% supply in a wallet, and I had to separate it into 5 to 10 wallets because that is their requirement. You know, I think it's very dishonest to do that. I don't think it's right for the community to have to do that, but this is the requirements that the community incentivizes and that they want. It's just highly optimized for meme coin trading. And so I don't agree with that, but it's what you have to do to essentially play the game. And so we're hoping with MigrateFun that we can really change the Solana ecosystem and the way that they view tokens and help optimize for the builders, because that is definitely what we're optimizing for, is those teams and communities. It doesn't have to be a utility project. It could be a meme coin community who has a long-term vision and that they want to reward their community in a variety of ways. And so they're able to take back the liquidity and control of the capital that has flown through their project, which is rightfully theirs.
Yeah, 100%. And you guys give an opportunity to a lot of people who, you know, maybe don't even have the capital to even do like a migrate, right? Because it's not going to be easy to do that when you're like by yourself. I mean, you guys did it because you guys were able to basically fund your pool first and make sure everything was good, and then you were able to get that Solana out of the TNSR pool, which, you know, basically paid yourself back. But a lot of people won't be able to front that to kind of get that coin trading in the beginning. But you guys are going to be doing that, right? Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah, so the process is actually quite simple if you kind of step back or take a step back and don't focus too much on like the technicals. It's essentially a 4-step process. The creator will come to our platform and they will create a project. And when they create a project, what they do is they input the liquidity or the LP ID of the old pool. And so then it says, here's the statistics, here's what you need, or here's like the participation you need and the amount of SOL that can be recovered. The creator says, all right, cool, awesome, I'm down. Then you create a new token. So you put in the new token, ticker, the name, the metadata, and then there's a question that says, how long would you like the migration to run for? So we recommend no longer than 30 days. Of course, every situation is different, but generally after about 30 days, the interest in a migration tends to fade. And I'd say 90% or 80% of the migration volume comes from the first 3 days and the last 24 hours, really. And once they hit create migrate portal, they're basically done until the very end when they have to click a few buttons. And then it's on the community and the creator to facilitate interest and support for the migration. So users will then come into this migration portal and they'll click a button, and they'll click a button that says max, and they'll take all their tokens and click migrate. And then they're done. And then after that, the migration timeline will tick down. Once the migration timeline is done, this is essentially an automated process for the most part. On the back end, the creator has a little bit of control. So once the timeline ends, the creator on the creator admin portal on the website, it'll say migration done. And it'll say, would you like to continue? And the creator will say yes. And then it'll market sell all of those tokens in the vault of the migration vault. So if I get 50% of the total supply locked in the vault, it'll sell 50% of the total supply in a single candle. Generally, it will recover anywhere between 80 to 90% of the total SOL in that pool. Once that soul is recovered, the creator then clicks the next button and says, this amount of soul has been recovered. Do you want to deploy the LP now? And the creator will click yes. And then it'll take that soul and pair it with the new token to create the liquidity pool on either Radium or our Launchpad partners. And then, I should say Launchpad platforms. And then the liquidity pool will be created. And then if there are any remainder tokens, they will be returned to the team to decide what they want to do. And this kind of final point here, this is a little bit of the controversial aspect of migrations. Again, every team's different, so there's different requirements. So generally, a high turnout for migration is anywhere from, we'll say, 70 to 75% or 80%. That's like getting to like absolute kind of like all-time highs. For Tensorium, we had 78% of the tokens migrated, and then there was 7% of the supply in the liquidity pool. So you're saying 85% of the Tensorium that was available is essentially migrated over. That's like near all-time highs. And so sometimes there will be leftover tokens. And so these are for people who have not migrated because they missed a window for whatever the reason is. You can kind of go one of four ways. You can take the unclaimed tokens and move them to the team treasury to fund operations. You can I guess, airdrop the remainder tokens to the community members on a scale. For some people, they did a pre-sale, so they need to be able to ensure that all the pre-sale holders got the token because there was a primary sale, right? There's legal liability there. For others who launched on Pump Fund, there was no pre-sale, right? So there's a little bit of a different situation there. We created a snapshot and airdrop tool where you could take a snapshot of the holders who did not migrate, and you can airdrop them on a 1% to 100% scale. So if you say, hey, all late migrators are only going to get 25% value of their tokens, you basically use that tool, and the creator will literally it's a few buttons, clicks on the back end, and then you just airdrop those to the owners, and then you're done. And then you're ready to trade, and everyone continues to move on with their situation. And for a lot of people, this is very appealing because it's a fresh start and that you get the liquidity, and more importantly, re-energizes the community that for 90% of the projects is generally dead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Real quick too. I just want to talk about the elephant in the room here, which was your price was just down, and then all of a sudden it's been absolutely awesome. So the migration definitely helped you guys. It helped you guys in a lot of different ways. But obviously, you guys were down around 2.5 million, and just as of the 23rd, you guys were on this uptick. I've been following this the entire way, as you can see. You got the Sally, the camel with the 3 humps. This is a pattern that
He's trying to
much,
copy.
dude.
He's trying to trademark this pattern.
I'm telling you, bro. Sally the camel
humps,
with the 3
dude.
humps, bro. So you got the humps, and then you got the neck, right? And then you got the face. And normally what happens is Sally the camel is going to rip up. This is not financial advice, just kind of what I've been seeing in the markets. But you guys broke out of this triangle here. Now you guys are kind of doing the retest. But I know you guys don't care about price at all, but price is kind of what.
Oh, we care about price. I mean, it funds operations, but as a long-term builder, whether the price is 2 million or 15 million, you can't let it affect the quality of your work. I would say more of like a clarification to that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, look, dude, it's obviously shown the importance of tokenomics, because I think for the people listening in, again, we're moving out of the anonymous phase. So for a project that is, they've doxed themselves, who their leaders are, all these things. Locking up liquidity isn't that big of a deal, because they're going to be answering questions for if something happens with that. Now, being able to have access to liquidity we're going into a bull market, right? Like that's what most people are thinking for Q4. Why would you want to have a liquidity pool so thick that it's going to hard for number to go up, technology to come into play? You want to be smart about these things, but also just not number go up, plus the technology backs it up here. So I'm speaking about Hustle specifically, but I had a question kind of a little bit not related to the Sally the camel here.
I mean, we could talk about price. That's fine if you want.
This is an interesting question that I have, because some of these projects that get abandoned at like $1 to $3 million or 800,000 to like 2 million, they get CTO'd. Like, how would that work? if someone's like, okay, I want a CTO to help this community out, like, would there be like a voting process? Would the voting process be, in fact, people sending their tokens in? And if you get enough, or what would that look like for a CTO?
There's actually no difference whether it's a CTO project, a project owner. We try to interface and communicate with what's considered the project leader, whether that's a CTO group, an individual, a team, a protocol, whatever. The process is the same. There is no verification. You don't need there's no on-chain verification. You don't need to be the deployer to start it. This is where kind of vampire attack, gamification comes in. Like, for example, if I just wanted to extract liquidity from Fartcoin, I could just spin up a Fartcoin migration portal. And if I only need 5%, if 5% of Fartcoin people or tokens are migrated, you could probably, sell, or you could probably nuke the chart like 20, 30% and then take that liquidity and start your own. You call it Fartcoin 2 or whatever you want, right? So that's kind of a CTO on liquidity itself. And, I think that is probably a later narrative for MigrateFun once it gets a lot more mainstream traction. But we are in conversations with many CTO projects actually who want this, right? Because they took over the project. There's situations where like the dev is still, getting the benefits and such, and they don't want that. And maybe the community has branded or created a new meme within the community that they kind of want to create. But going back to the chart, if you want to pull the chart back up here for a second.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of like what I want to point out is managing the liquidity pool. So when the chart started running up yesterday at around, I think it was like a $13 million market cap, I added another 75,000 to the liquidity pool. And so this is kind of, so this is smart metrics, or this is smart liquidity pool management, right? So it's like, you want that volatile candle, but then you don't want the whales to then nuke the chart immediately. So what you want to do is essentially put padding underneath large price increases. And that seems to be working, to be completely honest, right? Because you're going to get this new wave of people, every kind of major consolidation phase upwards. And once that kind of settles, you want to add more liquidity there so that the older holders have an opportunity to exit. But then because you want supply to be distributed, right? You don't want this thing to go straight up to where the majority of people who bought in at $1 million market cap are still holding at 100 million, right? You want that supply to be distributed. And so they need liquidity to distribute into. And so that's why you have to put more liquidity into these kind of consolidation periods. So that's kind of like a definition of smart liquidity management. And, we'll continue to do these management practices as, the token continues to trend higher, as more utilities announced, as more interest comes to the project. We'll continue to do that. And you cannot do this with a locked liquidity pool. Like that's not possible, right? So these are the kind of aspects that are available. And so this for most projects, right? They're either interested in migrating to BonkFun is the big inquiry, but also a lot of the larger projects themselves, like the majority of projects who've reached out that are over, I would say all projects who've reached out who are over 10 million prefer to go to migrate to a Radium CPMM because they want 100% control of the liquidity pool. It's generally once you start getting into the like $5 to $10 million market cap range and lower, the majority of teams want to migrate to BonkFun because they're generally newer creators, newer builders, CTO type communities, and they want to migrate to BonkFun because PumpFun is not supporting, individualized or specialized treatment. And they want that kind of meme coin community mindshare that's happening over on BonkFun. And BonkFun has hinted that they're going to be supporting the creators, and they've done a handful of different meme coin contests and I guess you could say like LP rewards and different types of campaigns to show that they are there to support the individual communities. So for people who are interested in migrating through MigrateFun, it's a question that I present the majority of people. There's positives and negatives to both sides to the aisle, right? Migrating to your individual pool, where you get 100% control of the LP, but there's a lot more administrative work. There's a lot more upkeep costs. There's a lot more liquidity management that has to happen. Or do you go to BonkFun, where the administrative stuff is essentially handled for the most part, and you get community support, but the LP is locked, but you still get a portion of those LP fees as well, right? So it's just something to consider depending on each community. And I think now, after talking to about 60 different teams, I kind of have a firm understanding of what
type of projects want this and what type of projects want that. Because like I think the meme coin meta kind of works for, which was the intention for these these launch pads anyways. It works for that because you're not thinking about runway as much. You're like, okay, community is what it is. It's just building community, building that momentum with your community. Let BonkFun take over the administrative process. I don't have to manage the LP. It's already managed there. It's kind of set it and forget it. I get 1-2%, whatever they're getting of the LP rewards. I can live with that. I can use that for the project or whatever. But if I'm an AI project, or if I am a utility project, I'm thinking about runway. I got to pay my staff. I got to pay my developers. I got to pay this and that. You want full control. You're willing to hire someone to manage that LP, or do it yourself, right?
Yeah, that's 90% correct directionally. I'm sure there's a bunch of different situations as well. There's some things vary depending on the liquidity pool. Some people are migrating from PumpFun Radium, some are migrating from PumpSwap, and then some from Meteora. And we're starting to get some inquiries from the Believe app ecosystem, which is Believe, that uses Meteora. It seems like that ecosystem is having a lot of trouble supporting their creators, or the creators are having trouble communicating with the founder for whatever their wants and needs are. The PumpFun thing is pretty direct. Right now, everyone hates PumpFun. I think the majority of people do. And it's starting to lose mind share. And BonkFun's done a great job, curating a very welcoming community from a grassroots movement. I think this is why MigrateFun, BonkFun, and Radium have very similar values, because they're all kind of grassroots protocols who were there in the very beginning stages, right? Radium was kind of the first AMM on Solana that got a lot of major traction. BonkFun obviously being the first meme coin on Solana to gain major traction. And then, Emblem Vault's been here since 2016 without any VC funding for almost 10 years, and it's just been a grassroots movement since the beginning. So, with that type of idea, the visions are very aligned, and we've spoken with a lot of other teams outside of just those as well who've reached out. And I suspect next month, when we have our first kind of grouping, we're calling it the first cohort to go live, I suspect that there will be a lot other interest from a lot larger players, from all chains and from all types of institutions who are going to want to learn more about this, because it can really be a main character. A lot of people have been saying to me recently that this has main character vibes. Well, I'm calling it main character, but they said this could be like a really big thing, because it's right in the middle of a turf war, essentially, right? Between PumpFun and between Radium and BonkFun and Believe app and what else is there? Oh, Jupiter and Meteora, right? There's like a three-headed monster between Jupiter, who owns Meteora and Moonshot. You have Radium that has who has Launch Lab, and then you have BonkFun, who's the front end, or the main winner for the launch pad itself, right? And so this being in the kind of middle of that, it could get a great narrative. I would say, honestly, the probably the best narrative you would want it to be is people to start saying that it's a vampire attack on PumpFun liquidity. That probably gets the most eyeballs if you get the right people saying it and kind of promoting that idea. Because with this, with migrations, there comes some controversy, right? Vampire attacks have controversy. People who miss the migration window has some controversy, the kind of rush aspect of it in certain areas. And but on the other side of it, there's just so many beautiful aspects of this with builders and creators who get to have a fresh start. They get to control their liquidity, and they get to align themselves within communities that best represent, their current ideals. Because when you're locking the LP, you're essentially saying that a project has no ability to evolve over time and that it's going to stay static in its current image. And for 99% of projects, that's just not the case.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100%. I'm curious. So now you have you're head of like 3 different companies right now, right? With a potential 4th coming down the line. What excites you about each of them? MigrateFun, Agent Hustle, and the jumping from asset to asset, the Emblem Vault itself. What excites you about each of them? If you can kind of just curious.
Yeah, I would say the main kind of overarching focus or feeling of it is that Emblem as a protocol and a brand is evolving to become essentially a curator of cross-chain applications, which is something that we had been internally discussing for a few years. And now it's actually reality, right? Emblem Vault or Emblem Vision, right, is the NFT bridge application of Emblem Vault.
Gotcha.
Agent Hustle is the multi-chain AI assistant application, which uses Emblem Vault, right? And then MigrateFun is a token migration platform that uses vaults. So it's using all the technology at the end of the day. And all of these will inherently be multi-chain, and majority of them are multi-chain now because of the Emblem Vault's infrastructure. And as I've mentioned on the show many months ago, that there is a 4th application that you hinted at that is coming at some point towards the end, which is much more in line with the NFT bridge ecosystem. Emblem Vault, I put this post out yesterday, but if you look at each kind of protocol themselves, I'll start with MigrateFun, I guess, because that's the new one. I think because it's on Solana and it has to do with migrations, and there's a little bit of a controversial aspect to it, but an even better reward offering or bright future type narrative to it. I think this brings in the most attention from anything. Solana is a very attention starved or attention driven ecosystem. It's very similar to kind of Silicon Valley type vibes. It's like very move fast, break things, heavily subsidized in VC funding. And it's all about revenues and driving mind share over kind of anything else. And so with MigrateFun, that really attacks kind of both of those narratives, as well as could bring a substantial amount of revenue to the company itself, which is what we want to do, is to scale, which without VC funding ourselves, right, has been somewhat of an issue. Agent Hustle is probably, I would say, like the cream of it all. You could say MigrateFun is the Trojan horse to Agent Hustle itself. We're very, very long and very, very bullish on AI agents, the crossover of AI agents and crypto being literally the kind of pinnacle of it, because there's like over 1 billion people in the world who are subscribed to a monthly LLM service, whether it's ChatGPT or Llama or Anthropic or whatever, where you have like somewhere between 30 to 50 million people per month using crypto, majority of those people using exchanges and not being on chain. So the majority of new people coming to crypto are going to be using AI in some capacity. And so their entry point is going to be something like Agent Hustle. And those are the type of people that we're building for. And I'm getting, a lot of messages from people just saying how incredible the technology is and how it suits them more, because they're not the photon type trader or Axiom who sits there and clicks buttons all day. Like, they have lives, they have families, and they want to participate in the on-chain economy, but they can't sit at their computer all day. And so, being able to have a conditional engine, or being able to sit there and ask, what people consider dumb questions, but to a newbie, they have no idea what to do. Like, that to me is like very self-fulfilling. It feels very rewarding, because you're really helping people understand crypto and helping them make money and really understand the economy. So I would say that that's really what I'm proud of there. And right now it's considered, I personally consider it the top AI agent on Solana. It was really between that and Griffin. Griffin's kind of fallen off a little bit. No shade to them, but we have over now 100 daily active users again. We've built a bunch of tooling. Since we launched the V3, we've had about 600 unique active users. The volume's increased now. Since we since we launched V3 last week, we're averaging over $10,000 a day in trading volume itself, which seems low, but the sizing of the trades are starting to increase. I'm seeing a lot more 1 sol, 2 sol, 3 sol trades. So people are feeling more confident using it, which is exactly what you need for a platform. Because our main issue in the very beginning when we launched V2 in March was that the average trade side was like $15. Now the average trade side is like getting close to $100, which
Nice.
is what you need for sustainable revenue. And then add different types of tokenomics to it, which we're going to be doing. And so to kind of wrap both of those up, I think we might be the first or some of the earliest to take a token and utilize it in 2 different applications. I don't know of any crypto project where one token is used in 2 different applications. And so Hustle is going to be the token for MigrateFun, and it's going to be the token for Agent Hustle. So we're also taking on a new kind of venture, which is generally what we tend to do itself. Now I'm ending with Emblem Vision or Emblem Vault, because Emblem Vision or Emblem Vault, this idea of an NFT bridge is a very boring idea, right? Like it's something that we've been building and Shan's been building for over 10 years at this point. And it doesn't make sense now, but I actually think this is the largest product of them all. This Emblem, the idea of an NFT bridge to me is probably one of the most valuable companies in the industry. I said this when I joined the company 3 years ago, and I firmly believe it even more today, because what Emblem Vault is as an NFT bridge is very similar to what Amazon is, or it's very similar to what UPS is, or what an international shipping service is. You take an asset, an NFT item. This could be Bitcoin. This could be a CryptoPunk. This could be an SMB generation. It could be whatever chain that you want. You put it inside of a vault, which is an NFT, and then you ship it from one blockchain, Bitcoin, to ETH, or you take your CryptoPunk from ETH and take it to Solana, right? Or you take your OMB from Bitcoin, you take it to Base. And that idea is very boring. But when you think about the ramifications of this in the real world, the domestic and international shipping industry, global GDP is 7.5% of global GDP, which comes out to close to $10 trillion a year. So you're saying literally the global economy, 10% of that is import and export. That's exactly what Emblem Vault is, import and export. So you could see a future 10 years from now where interoperability is frictionless across the crypto economy, and people are just frictionlessly moving assets across chains. And Emblem Vault's currently the only one that could do that for NFTs, and I suspect it's probably going to be the only one for quite a while, until the idea becomes very obvious, and at that point, it's probably over. And so, at that point in time, if you could see tens of thousands of vaults being issued across chain per day, at a $20 vaulting fee, or when we have our discount program with keys at a lesser value. But you could see that revenue really, really piling up, and that's why I think that's going to be the most valuable. But ultimately, it's going to be a long time before we get to that vision, and so the focus really is on right now Agent Hustle, MigrateFun, because that's kind of where the interest is. It's the shiny new thing. It has the biggest ramifications. But building out the Emblem Vault vision is kind of this thing that's happening on the back end. And we're making sure that happens through these applications for participation, because that's kind of where the crypto industry is now. People hate infrastructure. The newbies, they don't like infrastructure. They don't understand it, nor do they need to understand it. But what they do want is shiny things. They do want AI. They do want attention. And so if we could kind of perpetuate the Emblem Vault technology through these kind of shiny applications, then we get closer to that interoperable future where Emblem is essentially a shipping layer of crypto.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm really excited for Emblem's future, because I think this was a long time. You guys are coming into the stretch to where like the momentum is building up, and it's a long time coming, in my opinion. But I think you guys were just trying to figure out how to put your chess pieces in the right places, right? And everybody's in the right spot. You're the CEO. You were named that, this past year, or this
Last
year.
year.
And then, you know, you have the other people that are really good at what they do, the marketing side with Adam, and you got Chris, and you got Shannon just kind of says, okay, let me just do what I'm best at, right? Build in the background. And then you have your AI team now. So I just think this is a long time coming. I'm so happy for you guys. Shizzy actually yesterday when we were talking about the hustle price action, he goes, man, the one thing is I'm so happy for Jake and them. They've been grinding this entire time and they're hitting stride like no other team possibly in crypto right now, you know? And so congrats to that. But I do want to get to some comments here because we got some comments for you. Stan is a big fan of you and the team. He says, congrats, Agent Hustle. Does the team compile demographic data? If so, what's the general profile of users for Hustle?
I ask this every week.
I feel like
45-year-old unemployed overweight man. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I appreciate Stan because he's very consistent on the Emblem Hour. So we actually did just build a tracking system for Agent Hustle, and the reason why we had to build this was for subscriptions and referrals and our B2B side of things, which we actually do have a very large B2B partner, hopefully launching next month, which I think will catch a lot of people by surprise. Hopefully perpetuate the idea of Agent Hustle as an AI router. We don't have demographic right now. What we have is kind of the information on what the users are doing on platform. So what's the cost per user based on the prompting? What's the average request? What are the most common tools being used? What user is using what tool? How much overall cost is coming to the day? So really kind of numerical values. I'm sure demographic would be something that we'd want to add, but we just don't currently have it in our internal tracking system. When we were using PostHog previously, which is a third-party tracking service, the demographic was overwhelmingly United States, and then Europe was second, and then it was kind of dispersed into like Asia and Africa after that. From just personal anecdotes, I get a lot of people reaching out to me who are in Asia, actually. So a lot of people who live in Thailand and Korea and China who use the platform, who are English native speaking, although you can actually put any language you want as the input and he can respond in any other language. So you can actually do that. It's mostly US based, but there is actually like an overwhelmingly increase in Asian interest and Asian users. And I see that because they reach out to me.
Gotcha. All right, Bro Toshi. I can't ever say the second part. Squashiaboto. Says Squashiaboto says, good morning, boys. And then we got Patapoo, one of our regulars here, says, hey, Jake, you think Rare Pepe's collection hype will ever come back? Appreciate you, true OG.
Yeah, of course. Rare Pepe is the Doge of NFTs. Rare Pepe is the best indicator. Rare Pepe is the best indicator for an NFT bull run. So like this last hype this last run up on CryptoPunks and stuff that happened a week ago, I knew it was kind of going to be shortly sustained because the Rare Pepe volume hadn't picked up. Although there was a few Nakamoto card sales, so that's generally good signs. But really, I mean, if you really remember in 2021, like when Rare Pepe took off towards the end of 2021, that was when everything was like absolute kind of peak virality. And so I suspect that it's going to be very similar here, where it's not officially an NFT bull run until Rare Pepe start taking off. And the reason why is the collection is just so large and people love Rare Pepe that it takes a lot longer for Rare Pepe to get going. But once it does, there's so many sub-markets across 1,774 different cards that you literally get a much longer sustained bull run. That's why the Rare Pepe collection was trading for like 5 months on fire. It's because it was different cards trading for days at a time. And people just basically take their liquidity of Rare Pepe and they just basically reinvest it into different cards in the ecosystem, which is very similar to like what, you know, ETH NFTs do, where it's like once CryptoPunks moves, that liquidity generally flows down to other NFT projects. With Rare Pepe, it generally all stays in the ecosystem because the Rare Pepe community is just so devout. It will go over to like Spells of Genesis at times as well, but the Rare Pepe community is just true OG, and it really invest in themselves and their own community, and so generally that liquidity stays within its own collection.
Gotcha. A couple more here, and we'll be done with the questions. I can't get to every single one of them, guys, but I'll get to every single person at least once. This one says, the Solana founder, is the Solana founder aware of agents' immense value? If so, has the team engaged in conversation with
question.
the Solana execs?
We actually have a handful of community members who pinged Tolly daily to try to get him to engage. There's actually some like conversations that some community members are trying to get Tolly's attention through time.fun to pitch him on Hustle. He doesn't respond really to it, which, you know, as a founder, you know, engaging in certain tokens and stuff, I completely understand. We have had a conversation with the Solana Foundation themselves, who had reached out about Agent Hustle. So I have a little bit more understanding of kind of their views. And again, a lot of these kind of, I guess you'd say, protocol leaders, foundations, stuff like that, they try to steer hard away from specific tokens themselves, and they try to focus on the products and where those kind of crossovers are. And it's a very kind of gray area about it. I think Tolly specifically, when he king made Griffin at the beginning of the AI run, and then Griffin's just completely kind of fallen off since then. It seems like he hasn't really engaged in any AI projects since, because he just got a bunch of crap for it. And honestly, if I was a founder or as a founder, I completely understand that. I can empathize with it. But being a literal, you know, blockchain founder of one of the top in the world, like, you just get so much shit thrown at you per day. It's probably not even recognizing it, to be honest.
Yeah.
You just got to try harder, right?
It's true. We just got to continue with the best way to get an attention of a Vitalik or a Tolly or somebody of that nature is you literally have to build in the ecosystem. You have to be successful product builders to where he literally can't look away from it, from the project or protocol itself, because it's so integrated into the ecosystem. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do with Agent Hustle. And so if we get more protocols using Agent Hustle, integrating into their system, no doubt in my mind he's going to recognize it and probably reach out and just ask what the hell it is.
Yeah. And you got to imagine the last 6 months has not been easy for you guys. You know, you guys have been grinding to build this product up and show the value. But unfortunately, in our space, number go up technology, Adam always talks about that, is always looked at as like the first most important part, right?
It is.
So,
it is.
Yeah. I mean, it is, and that's the nature of the beast. We get it, but you don't get the credit for the actual work, right? Until you can align those things. And now, because you've been able to take control. So for the builders that are thinking about migrate.fun, this is a little plug for that, because think about it. Look, I mean, people are noticing all the hard work now that Hustle has been able, or what Hustle is as a product, because they've been able to align tokenomics with it. But there's so much that they built the last 6 months, you know, and they're getting the credit for it. They're getting their flowers, and they'll get more as time goes on. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. Real quick, the camel here has its face, so I'm expecting a blast off. I'm just saying, its face is in, bro. The face is in for the camel, and normally happens. And guys, I'm almost 100%. Go check all the camels. The 3 humps, the down, the neck, and the head. It usually blasts off. I mean, I'd be shocked if Monday morning this thing wasn't above 20 million. That's just
the all-time high for Tensorium was like 18 mil, so it's like pretty close to the actual all-time high.
Oh wow! So it actually topped out right at almost 18 million. So people are actually potentially charting.
So most people are probably. I'm glad for all the community members who've been holding over the last 6 months or so, and participate in the migration. I should clarify that. They paid attention. They stuck to the community, and a lot of them were down quite bad. A lot of people bought around the $10 million mark, $15 mark, and a lot of them doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on the community when we even went below $1 million. There was a point where Tensorium was under $1 million for like over a week and got as low as $600,000.
Oh my god!
And there were a bunch of community members who were like, "This is just so extremely undervalued that there's no way I can't buy this." And so the majority of, I can't wait to put the tweet out once it crosses 18 mil to say that every Tensorium or Hustle holder is now in profit. You know, it's a good feeling to say as a founder, and Hustle is the first token that I've launched as a founder, right? I joined Emblem in 2022 when they already had Koval. I'd never launched a token before that. So it's kind of my first foray as a project that I was involved with and created. And so it feels really good to reward, but the job's not done. There's literally so much more to go. We still got to have this. We still got to have a coming out party for MigrateFun next month. We have a very good and solid first B2B partner for Agent Hustle who's going to integrate it, and that should get a lot of attention there. And we're going to add some tokenomics to Agent Hustle. Obviously, we've mentioned this with subscriptions, like Pay with Agent Hustle is one of them. And we do have some, and then with MigrateFun, we're taking a portion of the revenues and buying back Hustle themselves. And once we get past this first cohort, we do have some ideas for MigrateFun and Agent Hustle, more than just buybacks. I think they're actually quite attractive as well. But first and foremost, we just got to get through August, make sure that everything goes well. I've spoken about this literally for years at the behest of just getting absolutely lambasted by Koval holders that to have a successful token, you have to have a successful product. The product can exist without the token. The token cannot exist without the product. And it infuriates a lot of holders because they consider you not putting the token holders first. But in order to have successful tokenomics, you've got to make sure the product's there. You got to make sure that the users are there, because you want the tokens to be complementary to the product that exists. It should never be I'm making product decisions to try to pump the price. That's always how these products completely fail. So cool ideas for both of them. We do have some awesome ideas for Agent Hustle in the future as well, in terms of further integrating Hustle into some, I guess you would say, unique products that we would like to create with Agent Hustle. And yeah, move forward there. Really, really exciting time to be a Hustle holder. So drop in should be a good Q3 and Q4.
Yeah. And people aren't even thinking about the cross-chain aspect of, for the audience out there that's listening, this is a cross-chain team, guys. I mean, a lot of their roots are in Bitcoin. And the fact that, they've have a lot of experience in Ethereum, and that now they're having a lot of experience in Solana, that's the future. So to have a parent brand in Ethereum, which is going to have a parent brand token in the Rune, but also their products are going to live in Solana, EVM, Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's tech stacks come into Hustle, guys. Yeah. EVM's tech stacks come into Hustle. So this is the future. Anybody that thinks that my idea is to be siloed into this one chain because it's going to be the most successful, I think is doing it wrong. That's my personal opinion, because everything evolves in this world. Like if you go back to history, and so this is going to be no different in my opinion.
Yeah, cross-chain applications have always been the final boss. I've been saying this for years already at this point. It's just an ability to aggregate liquidity into a unified area. And to me, that's just such an obvious thing. It's taken a lot of people to kind of come around to it, but it seems like every ecosystem is now kind of finally channeling it forward. For Agent Hustle, kind of our next updates is we did fix the conditional engine, which is now hitting at about 100% efficiency. I've seen one failed trade in 2 days now since it's been live, which is really good. And the volumes on the platform are now showing good signs. We had to make some adjustments to the toolbox itself, and we're going to have to definitely put some more education out about it. But toolbox is working pretty well, and we just upgraded his memories. So now you can actually see the memories that are saved, which I think is really important. Next then is we're making some LP integrations, so adding Meteora and making sure all of the LP aspects are optimized, because our first B2B partner is very heavily involved with liquidity mechanics themselves on Solana. And then it's EVM and Bitcoin expansion. That's like literally the next thing on. We had a team meeting and deciding on which one's going to come first, how to go about it. We do have solutions for both of them, and we do have paths. I think in the next maybe 2 weeks or so, once we finish the LP stuff, we'll be moving into the expansion there. I'm not going to say which one comes first, but it's really determined by where the market is and where the liquidity is and what the users want. The users right now of the platform are much more interested in EVM. Hyperliquid seems to be like the most common one. Us being, native to Bitcoin, we just know the opportunity that if we go and build out for runes and ordinals and BRC 2.0 and alkanes, that we could basically market capture that really quick because no other AI team really has the understanding and capabilities to do that. So it's really this kind of tug and pull relationship on which one to go. But to the benefit is now that if the hustle token, maintains stable floor, above 15, 20 million or so, that gives us revenue to scale. And so really the idea would be to hire 1 or 2 more developers. And we've had some conversations with some, very capable developers that also have a reputation to join the team. And so if business stays well, then we can scale faster and we could kind of accomplish both at the same time.
Love it.
Yeah, I can't imagine what you guys adding a few more devs is going to look like. I mean, you guys are already moving pretty fast in the sense of, I mean, Agent Hustle was a thought 6 months ago, right? And now you guys are up and running with that. And MigrateFun was a thought 2 months ago, and now you guys are up running with that, right? So really excited to see you guys grow and actually add another dev or another 2 devs. That'd be insane.
I'm collecting devs like Infinity Stones, dude. You
You gotta get the right ones, though, right?
You do. Yeah. What I've learned is through business, through all the different businesses that I've had, is that the early stages of a startup, the first probably 10 team members are very important. They all need to fit culturally more than anything. And I've really taken a priority of that as, building the team out since I've been there. Adam and I were the first employees outside the co-founders. We were employee 3 and 4. Now we have 8 team members, seven team members, eight team members. And every single person has been kind of handpicked for different areas, but to fit culturally has been the most important part. So, another 2 or so, they need to have their edges in certain areas, and then you can finally really start scaling for specific positions rather than specific people.
Yeah. I got one last question for you, though, because we always ask you, we could typically ask you in the beginning of this, the Emblem Hour, is how do you feel like the rest of the year is going to go, right? Oh, let's talk more specifically where people are confused right now. And I feel like from here to the end of August, how do you see that playing out?
I'm pretty bullish overall. Ethereum's sitting well above $3,000. And so I suspect that all of the projects who were going to TGE restarted those conversations about a week ago. So probably from here through August, you're going to see some more TGEs happening or TGE announcements. And I think the market just continues at this kind of steady increase. Bitcoin dominance is decreasing, right? You have the Clarity Act that's going to be passed here in September, which then is great for altcoins, hopefully. I mean, I think so. And I just think the market dynamics are a little changed. It's more similar to a very steady, increase for Bitcoin and for ETH and for Solana versus these like volatile ups and downs. And then the altcoin markets go up and down. I think I saw Thread Guy talking about how he thinks the alt season is just going to be AI season 2, which is, I mean, nothing new to us. It's something that we said a year ago, that AI was just going to continue to be the dominant factor as we move from the attention cycle into the intelligence cycle of late 2025 and 2026 and probably early 2027, until that just becomes obviously fluid across the entire industry. And so, if Thread Guy is going to perpetuate the narrative of AI season 2, then it's probably bound to happen at this point. I think this is why Agent Hustle is increasing. Obviously, the MigrateFun stuff is kind of the lead catalyst here, which you have to pay attention to for in August for a lot more information of that. But Agent Hustle is now the number 7 DeFi AI project by market cap. Should easily be number 1 or number 2. Bankroot's actually really crushing it, so we should be right up there with them. And that's our goal, continue to grow and grind. And I think the market continues just this trend upwards. If you remember, I mean, we had this conversation before, but I always thought that Bitcoin was going to, I even have this posted on December 31st of last year, that Bitcoin was going to consolidate between 120K and 70K throughout quarter 3. And so far that's true. I mean, it hit 122K, but so far it's in that range. And so I think you probably just see this slow kind of melt upwards. I'm not one of the like gigantic Bitcoin bulls that say Bitcoin's going to hit 250K this year and stuff. I think, you know, maybe 150K at the end of the year. It just takes so much more capital to move Bitcoin up that I just think Bitcoin's a slow grind up, just like it is like a stock market, and altcoins will follow. Just make sure you're in the right ones. And I think AI is the fastest horse in this race.
What about Ethereum though? Do you think it gets to 65?
I would say Ethereum could get near its all-time high at the end of the year, but realistically, probably for tax purposes, probably doesn't go past all-time high until after the new year. Because all-time high is what, like 5K or close to 5K?
4,800, something around there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you just think about like the seasonality of crypto, everything tends to sell off, or people stop trading kind of at the end of the year for tax reasons. And always January is always like the most mega bullish. I mean, if you remember 2021, still to this day, my biggest win is Dogecoin when I was buying it for a quarter of a penny in 2018 and 19 and 2020 and holding it. And then literally January 1st is when Dogecoin went from 14 sats up to like 25 sats. And everyone remembers before Dogecoin really took off, it was anytime Doge is under 20 sats is altcoin season's right around the way. And Doge is starting to move again. And I think January is probably when you see just like insane alt season because it is a new tax year and stuff like that. But again, I think AI is the fastest in this race. I think Bitcoin ecosystem is also going to have a gigantic breakout probably January. Still needs a little bit more infrastructure to get there, but it is getting pretty close. And then honestly, kind of bullish on ETH L2s because of the Robinhood situation. And also
Abstract too.
Abstract, yeah, I think like either the L2 token, just because Wall Street's kind of putting their full weight behind Ethereum, or maybe applications within these L2s. But you know, we'll see. I remain bullish, and I think the top is still around America's 250th birthday next year, which I said literally over a year ago.
Yeah, I really hope so. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm selling the main, going away. Like I'm just done. I'm just done, man. I don't care what the prices is. I'm just done. Taking the summer off. I'm gonna have someone else sitting in this chair doing the show. No, I'm just kidding. But Jake, man, it's been absolutely awesome, dude. Really appreciate your time. Really appreciate everything you're building for every ecosystem. Right. So it's absolutely awesome. We'll give you the stage one last time. Is there anything when you say to the audience?
Buy, hustle, use MigrateFun, and get strapped in for a fun August. It should definitely be that.
Amazing. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, see you guys. Have a good weekend.
You as well.
Absolutely awesome. As always, really appreciate, you guys got to remember, like Jake's super busy, and for him to give us an hour of his day is absolutely awesome. And I hope you guys can take advantage of it. And, we've been doing the Emblem Hour now going on, I want to say 4 months now. And you guys have been, it's been a while. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while. So, you guys knew about Hustle before anyone else. And I hope you guys took advantage of it. I took advantage of it for sure. And I really hope that, potentially you guys are doing really well. We want you guys to win. That's our number one goal here. But we have 941 people in here right now. Appreciate every single one of you guys, man. It means the world to us.
Absolutely, man. What a way to finish off the week. And you got to just be bullish on the space in general. Whenever you hear about teams like that, you think about the early .com days and how teams were forming and becoming the next big thing, right? And so Emblem definitely has such a good opportunity to be one of those companies, right? One of those Silicon Valley type of companies that just explode. And there's gonna be several, but you get to listen to the founders on this channel, one of the only channels that brings the founders directly to you guys. So appreciate each and every one of you guys, though, man. Without you guys, I will continue to say this till the end. We wouldn't be able to do this, and we're so thankful for that. And also our partners like Emblem, they support us to allow us to be able to do this as well. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate it. Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator swap of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to swap for runes or alkanes, you got to do it at Sats Terminal. Why? Because they will give you Amber points. Amber points is their XP that you will earn by connecting your wallet for the first time. You get 1,000 Amber points, but every transaction will accrue more Amber points, and Amber points are going to go towards a give back to early adopters. So make sure you're heading over to satsterminal.com. Next week, we will give you guys some more updates. They got some exciting stuff coming to the platform and to their product suite as well. Head over to satsterminal.com. And then Emblem Vault, we just talked for an hour with the CEO, Jake Gallen, which we have every day, or every Friday, I should say, on every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you join for that segment or catch it if you miss it. But they specialize in being able to jump your ordinals from Bitcoin Layer 1 to Ethereum. Right now, you can do so with the Taproot Wizard collection, and you can actually do with any ordinal or anything, but you can take your Taproot Wizard and take a loan out against it on the Gandhi application on Ethereum. But there's going to be more applications that start to accept these ordinals and rare pepes and whatever you want to bring over from Bitcoin. But they're going to also open this up for other Ethereum Layer 2s like Base, Abstract, Arbitrum, possibly some Bitcoin Layer 2s like Merlin as well, and Solana, of course, because they have that tech stack experience with building Agent Hustle, which is their AI product we just talked about for an hour. Agent Hustle is the biggest news right now that's happening on the Solana blockchain and ecosystem. It is the top AI product over there. And what is Hustle? Hustle is an AI tool that you can use to guide you through Solana's trenches, right? If you want to ask, hey, Hustle, give me a 2x, 5x safe play, he'll bring back a couple options on why he thinks these are good or some red flags on some tokens that you might want him to break down for you. Also, he has a conditional trading function that's built into where you can actually set a trade, say, hey, buy Fart coin at a 20% decrease from the current price, but then sell it at a 100% increase once you reach that. And you can go to the gym, go do whatever you need to do, and he will execute that trade for you. So really exciting stuff. They're going to be adding the Bitcoin tech stack to this as well, and EVM. So it's going to be cross-chain. The Hustle token is associated with Agent Hustle, of course, so you can look into that. But also, there's more. They have a TGE for their Bitcoin room for the parent company called the Emblem Founder Vaults. And if you go to OpenSea, you can purchase a pre-sale of one of these NFTs. And once TGE comes around in about October, there's a block height that these open up, and you will have a Bitcoin wallet in the vault, and you will be able to get your Bitcoin runes out of there. So it's going to be really exciting. Bitcoin runes is getting that infrastructure that everybody's talking about, and there's a lot of hype with Kraken as well. So might be something related to that with Emblem Founder Vaults as well, but you will have to wait and see. But yeah, head over to emblem.vision, join their Discord, join their community, and learn more there. And then Artura.finance is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to trade, leverage, or perps, you got to do it at Artura.finance. They just launched on Botonic's Spider Chain Bitcoin Layer 2. We will have one of the C-suite executives on from Botonix next week, but not live. Will be recorded. You can learn more there. Also, we're going to do some tutorials on how you guys can earn by utilizing the Artura platform for their XP, but also some XP on the Botonic side, as they're going to be giving, both are going to be giving kickbacks to early adopters as well. But you can trade right now. It is live. You can trade for Bitcoin or Ethereum right there on the platform. In the future, they are looking to add Bitcoin fungibles to their platform like Doggo to the Moon, possibly Ordi, Sats, and more. But also, if you're not into trading, you can earn XP by adding a liquidity to their vaults. That's actually the most XP that you can earn. And so make sure you're taking advantage of that as well. If you have any questions, join their Discord. Join their Discord anyways. They have really good trader communities there. They can guide you through the platform, and it's really, really fun stuff. Some unique products coming to be able to trade as well. Head over to Artura.finance today to learn more. And then Fluid Tokens is the UTXO wizard devs of the Bitcoin ecosystem, but they also built on Cardano. We'll start with Bitcoin though, since we clicked there, and you can check out their new staking vault that just opened up. You can stake alkanes to earn dust. Was it no mist? So they have their alkanes Alchemist, I should say. They have their Alkane staking vaults, but then they did a merge of runes and alkanes. You can stake dog to earn, what is that? Diesel, or you can stake diesel to earn dog. So really cool that they're kind of mixing these up. That's why we call them the wizard UTXO wizard devs, because they know how to do these things. Super exciting stuff, guys. Join their Discord as well. If you want to create a staking vault for your community, if you launch something, then you can go to their Discord and ask them how to get set up there. If you want to airdrop runes or alkanes to your community as well, you can go to their homepage and click on the airdrop menu tab right there in the middle. And then you can select runes or alkanes. Really simple process. There's two options. If you want to do a bulk, you can upload a CSV file. And then if you want to do it manually, you can do it one by one right then and there. On the Cardano side, if you want to participate in their aquarium platform, you can add liquidity to earn Babel fees that way. So people don't have to use ADA as gas fees on Cardano. Really cool concept. Also, they have a reoccurring scheduling payment for ADA. If you are a builder in Cardano, you pay your devs in ADA. You can set that up right there at fluidtokens.com on the Cardano side. Check them out, guys, for sure. And then Tokyo Wallet is the multi-chain smart wallet for the Bitcoin and Cardano ecosystem. And that's not it. Also Sui as well. They added support there. So if you're looking to swap for runes, you can do so. They partnered with Sats Terminal to make that possible in their application. Same thing on the Cardano side. You can swap for SNEC or other Cardano tokens because they partnered with Dex Hunter as well. And the Sui application is going to be available very soon. And you can swap for Sui tokens. And they're going to be adding more ecosystems. Their whole objective is to make their wallet application the best UI UX that you can have. And so make sure that you guys download this. If you have an iPhone, go to the Apple App Store. If you have an Android, go to the Google Play Store and let us know what you think. We'll give the feedback to the team there. Also, there's an alpha section. You can see us. We have our YouTube channel on there along with some other YouTubers there. It is truly a one-stop shop there. Go to Tokyo.io and learn more. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI. They also have an AI tool that is really cool and helpful. The Wizard version 0.03. 0.3, which will guide you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem. If you want to ask any questions about Merlin Chain, it will answer them directly. Also, you can have DeFi functions done on your behalf by the Wizard, staking, swapping, etc. Version 4 is going to give you information cross-chain, because the whole objective of Merlin coming up is being able to do things cross-chain as well. So make sure that you are following them on X so you know when that version 4 comes out. But if you want to participate in helping secure the chain, you can do so with their proof of stake option there. There's 3 options. There is the Bitcoin staking to earn more Bitcoin. You get a minimum of 8% and a maximum of 21%, averages out to be about 16% there. It will max out at 100 Bitcoin, so make sure you're taking advantage of that before it gets there. And then also it gets locked up until September 30th. So just know that you do have that date locked up until that last date there. And then also 2 options with the Merlin Chain token, the flexible, which is a day-to-day, you earn 15% APR. You can claim your rewards every single day. Also, there is a 7-day cool-off period once you do withdraw, so just know that, don't freak out. And then also a 6-month period of locking up, and then you get 45% APR. But again, you can claim your rewards day-to-day. Very simple and very useful there. So head over to merlinchain.io. Make sure that you check out our Merlin Mondays every day at 12 p.m. Eastern. We have Jeff, the founder of Merlin Chain, on as well. And then lastly is our guys from Ordinal Hive, the Ordinal aggregator marketplace. You're going to find the cheapest ordinals around at Ordinal Hive. Our guy Fonzie, the CEO over there, has been grinding with his team. They have really cool trader tools as well, live mempool insights, so you can grab someone that accidentally fat fingered a node monk for $420 instead of $4,200, right? Also, you get your Bitcoin right away whenever you sell something. You don't have to wait 10, 30, 50-minute blocks. They will give it to you right away. Head over to ordinalhive.io and stay tuned to their Twitter account as well, as they're going to be announcing new information as things roll out. They have a really cool XP dashboard as well, and you can find out all that information on their site at ordinalhive.io or join their Discord. And we thank you guys so much for checking out our partners, man. It really does help us out a lot, because they are the second half of what allows us to do this. And you guys, of course, are the main reason, and we appreciate you.
Yep, man. Great job as always. And if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out OnChain Revolution.io, some of the best articles. We want to eventually turn this into, a CoinDesk, a Cointelegraph. That's always kind of been the goal. But for right now, while we just had just the two of us, we're just kind of knocking out one article a week and putting it up here. So definitely check out the articles, guys. It really, again, that helps the show as well. Make sure you guys are reading through. And if you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like help them get started and code up to where we are today. I guess, like I said, all the way back to 2023, all the way back there. Articles almost every single week. Check them all out there. VPN Nord, guys. I highly recommend it. I use it every single day. Make sure if you guys do get it, you get it through us, honestly, because you save 70%, 76%. Getting for $3.39. Lock it in for 2 years. Set it, forget it, be done with it. Rather than you set it for 3 months and then have to come back and pay the $11.59. You don't want that. I don't want that. You definitely want to be, getting the cheapest price possible, lock it in for 2 years. And remember, when you're going to sites, you're giving them your IP address. Make sure it's a VPN address where, you can put it anywhere in the world. And there's a lot of sites that geo-block you. I actually got geo-blocked this morning because for some reason my Nord was turned off my phone. And I was like, what the hell is this? And then I realized my VPN was off and I put it back on. Good to go. There's no geo-blocking you from any site. And if you have Netflix, for instance, and you're watching on your iPad, put your VPN on. You can put it to Spain, put it to different parts of the world, and you actually get different movies and different series. I actually didn't know that till recently, so definitely want to do that if you're interested in seeing where in the world is different than what you have on your Netflix. Definitely check that out. If you get your VPN today. If you guys need merch, we got some of the best merch, guys. Some of the absolute best merch. You definitely want to be checking it out. Hats, shirts, hoodies, jackets, and so much more, guys. Check it all out here at OnChain Revolution.io. And a quick thank you to everyone who commented. The comments mean so much. Stan, Patty Poo, Brotoshi, Malam, Yuri. I mean, you guys are absolutely amazing today. Really appreciate every comment. Remember, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific at 3 p.m. at UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until Monday.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go, Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear tracks. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed got adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction.